everyone. Have you ever listened to a song and thought, wait, what does this line actually means? It sounds romantic, but it's also kinda confusing at the same time. Well, that feeling is actually what we call ambiguity. And today I'm going to talk about how ambiguity works in one specific song. It's 505 by Arctic Monkeys. My name is Siti Nurlaila, and in this presentation, I will expand semantic analysis of ambiguity in this song. Okay, so 505 is one of Arctic Monkeys' early love song, and what makes it interesting is how the lyrics are not always clear or direct. Instead, they use emotional, fragmented, and sometimes confusing expression. And actually, that's the point. Because in real life, feelings are not always clear either, right? So in this analysis, I focus on how ambiguity is used not as a problem but as a tool to create deeper meaning. Okay, so there are three main objectives in my study. First, to identify ambiguity in the lyric, and second, to classify the types of ambiguity, and third, to explain how ambiguity makes the song more meaningful and emotional. Okay, so to analyze this, I use theories from two experts, Cridler and Sid. Cridler explained that ambiguity happens when a word or sentence has more than one meaning. He divided it into lexical ambiguity and structural ambiguity. Meanwhile, Sid focused on more context. He explained that meaning can change depending on how and where a sentence is used. So from these theories, I use four types of ambiguity. First is lexical ambiguity, structural ambiguity, referential ambiguity, and pragmatic ambiguity. Okay, now let's move on to the analyze. First, I will explain about the 505. From the first line is I'm going back to 505. Here the phrase 505 is ambiguous because we don't know what it actually refers to. It could be a place, like a hotel room, or it could be a symbol of a memory of relationship. This is ambiguity makes the listener curious because we have to imagine the meaning ourselves. Second is if it's 7 hour flight or a 45-minute drive. From the second lyric, this line can be understood literally as physical distance, but it can also represent emotional distance. Sometimes someone can feel very far away, even if they are physically close. No? So the ambiguity here connects physical and emotional meaning. And third is in imagination, you're really lying on your side. The lyric says, in my imaging your wedding lying on your side. The key phrase here is in my imagination. This creates ambiguity. This creates ambiguity between what is real and what is imagined. We don't know if the person is actually there or if it's just a hope or memory in the speaker's mind. And fourth, with your hands between your thighs. In this line is open to interpretation. It could be described as simple, relaxed position. It can also suggest something more intimate. So the ambiguity depends on how the listener interprets it. Okay, 5. The lyrics stop and wait a sec. This seems simple, but it can have two meanings. It could be a literal request to pause, or it could mean slowing down emotionally in relationships. So again, we see more than one possible meaning. And next, when you look at me like that, my darling, what did you expect from this line? This line is ambiguous in tone. It can sound romantic and soft, but it can also sound sarcastic or slightly confrontational. So the meaning changes depending on how we hear it. Okay, the next line is stop and wait a sec. This can be a literal request or emotionally it can mean slow down this relationship. Then the question what did you expect? In this line it can sound playful or sarcastic, so the tone change the meaning. And another example is greet me with a goodbye. This is almost like contradiction, welcome and goodbye at the same time. It reflects a complicated in relationship. Then the last time I checked in this line, like actually we don't know when that was, so it create uncertainty. Okay, so and next line is an imagination. You are waiting. So is it real or just hope? Well, actually we don't know, and that's the ambiguity. And finally, last is the repeated line. I'm going to 505. Well, at first it sounds hopeful, but later it's feel more desperate. It's same sentence, but different emotional meaning. Okay, so from this analysis, I found that lexical ambiguity is the most common type, especially when words shift from classically meaning to emotionally meaning. Pragmatic is also important, especially in tone and repeated lines. And most importantly, ambiguity here is not a mistake. It's actually what makes the song feel real and emotional. Okay, so to conclude, ambiguity in 5 of 5 exists at multiple levels: lexical, structural, referential, and pragmatic. But instead of making the song confusing, it actually makes it more powerful, right? Because one line can express love, fear, hope, uncertainty at the same time. And we think about it, that's exact how human emotion works. You know, we're not always clear, we are not always consistent, and maybe that's why the song feels so relatable. Okay, I think that's all from me, guys. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.